You hear the question clearly, you understand every word. You even know what you want to say. But when it is your turn to answer, your English suddenly slows down. Your mind starts searching, checking, translating, and trying to build the perfect sentence before your mouth can move. That small delay is one of the biggest reasons English still feels unnatural, even after years of study. But there is a way to train your brain so common words and sentence patterns begin appearing with far less effort. The surprising part is that it does not begin with learning more grammar or memorizing longer vocabulary lists. It begins with changing what you repeatedly make your brain do each day. And once that change starts, speaking English begins to feel very different. Chapter 1. Stop treating English like a subject. For many learners, English begins as a school subject. You learn vocabulary lists, you study verb tenses, you answer grammar exercises, you memorize meanings, you prepare for tests, you read explanations. All of this can be useful. But there is a problem. A subject is something you study, a language is something you use. Those two experiences are not the same. You can understand a grammar rule and still struggle to use it during conversation. You can recognize thousands of words and still pause when you need one. You can understand an English video and still find it difficult to explain what you just watched. Why? Because understanding and producing are different skills. Your brain may know the information, but it has not yet learned to access that information quickly enough. Think about something you do every day, maybe unlocking your phone. You do not stop and think, first I need to move my hand toward the phone, then I need to press this button, then I need to enter the code. You simply do it. That action became easy because your brain has repeated it under real conditions. Speaking can become easier in a similar way. Not because language becomes completely automatic like moving your hand, but because many small language decisions become familiar. You stop consciously choosing every word. You stop checking every grammar structure. You stop translating every simple thought. Instead, common patterns begin appearing faster. This is why your daily English habit should not feel like a small school lesson. It should feel like a period of real English use. That means your daily practice needs three things. You need input, you need response, you need continuation. Input means English enters your mind. Maybe you hear a sentence. Maybe you read a short paragraph. Maybe you watch someone explain an idea. Response means you do something with that English. You answer, you repeat, you describe, you react, you explain. Continuation means you do not stop after one sentence. You stay inside English long enough for your brain to settle into it. This is the part many learners miss. They practice English in tiny disconnected pieces. 5 vocabulary words, 1 grammar exercise, a short video, a few sentences. Then they immediately return to their native language. Their brain keeps switching systems. English never gets enough uninterrupted space. So the first principle of your new daily habit is simple. Do not only study English, enter English. For a short period every day, create a space where English is the language of your attention. You are not translating everything. You are not explaining English to yourself in another language. You are using English to understand, answer, notice, and think. Let us make this practical. Suppose you have 20 minutes. Do not begin by opening a random grammar page. Instead, begin with one simple topic. For example, my morning. Ask yourself, what time did I wake up? What did I do first? What did I eat? How did I feel? What do I need to do today? Now answer aloud. Nothing advanced, but you are using English. Then listen to a short piece of English about morning routines. Notice 1 or 2 useful expressions. Maybe, I got off to a slow start. I was in a hurry. I had a lot on my mind. Now use one of those phrases in your own sentence. My morning got off to a slow start because I didn't sleep well. This is very different from memorizing the phrase in isolation. You heard it, you understood it, you connected it to your own life, you used it. That is what makes language become available. The goal of your daily routine is not to collect more English every day. The goal is to make the English you already know easier to use. That changes your priorities. Instead of asking, how many new words did I learn? Ask, how many times did I produce English today? Instead of asking, which grammar rule did I study? Ask, which sentence patterns did I actually use? Instead of asking, Did I understand the lesson? Ask, could I explain the idea without looking at it? These questions move you from passive knowledge toward active ability. Try a short exercise now. Say aloud, English is not only something I study. Pause. Now complete. English is something I use, speak, practice, live with, work with, whatever feels natural. Now say, every day I want to spend time using English instead of only studying it. Good. This may sound simple, but it is the foundation. Many learners are waiting to become fluent before they begin using English freely. The order needs to change. You become more fluent because you begin using English before it feels completely comfortable. That daily discomfort is not failure, it is training. The first few minutes may feel slow. Your brain may search. You may repeat words. You may create simple sentences. Stay there. After several minutes, something often changes. Your brain begins to expect English. The next sentence comes slightly faster. You start thinking about the idea rather than the grammar. That shift is important, and we are going to build the rest of the routine around it. Chapter 2. Create a daily English window. You do not need to spend your entire day speaking English. You do not need to change your phone, your job, your family, and your environment overnight. What you need is a protected window. A daily English window is a specific period when you deliberately keep your attention inside English. It might be 15 minutes. It might be 30. It might be 45. The exact number matters less than the consistency. If you practice for 3 hours once every 2 weeks, your brain keeps starting again. If you practice for 20 minutes almost every day, English becomes familiar. Familiarity matters. Think about a path through grass. If nobody walks across it, the grass stays high. If someone walks the same path every day, the route becomes visible. Your language pathways work differently from grass, of course, but the image is useful. The more often you retrieve and use a phrase, the easier it becomes to access. That means your routine should be repeatable, not impressive, not complicated, repeatable. A good daily window has a clear beginning and ending. For example, from 7:30 to 8 o'clock in the evening, I use English. During that time, you do not jump between 5 learning apps. You do not constantly search for the perfect lesson. You follow a simple sequence. First, warm up. Second, absorb. Third, produce. Fourth, review. We will go deeper into each of these later. For now, focus on the window itself. Choose a time when you are usually available. Do not choose your ideal imaginary schedule. Choose your real life. If your mornings are chaotic, do not promise yourself an hour every morning. If you are exhausted after midnight, do not schedule difficult speaking practice at 1 a.m. Choose a realistic time. Maybe after breakfast, maybe before work, maybe during lunch, maybe after dinner, maybe before bed. The goal is to reduce negotiation. If every day you ask, should I practice now? You use energy deciding. A routine removes that decision. When the time arrives, English begins. There is another reason the window matters. Your brain starts associating a certain time or place with English. You sit at your desk. You put on your headphones, you open your notebook, you begin speaking. The sequence becomes familiar, and familiarity reduces resistance. Many learners think motivation must come first. They wait until they feel inspired. But daily language improvement often works in the opposite direction. You begin, then motivation grows because you can see that you are doing something. This is why a small routine can be stronger than an ambitious plan. Let us design your window. Imagine you have 25 minutes. Your first 5 minutes are speaking warm-up. You answer simple questions. What did I do today? What am I doing tomorrow? What am I thinking about? What was difficult today? What was enjoyable? No preparation, just speak. Then spend 8 minutes listening. Choose one short English audio or video, not something extremely difficult. Choose content you mostly understand. Your goal is not to decode every word. Your goal is to hear natural English patterns. Then spend 8 minutes speaking again. Summarize what you heard. React to it. Explain whether you agree. Use 1 or 2 useful expressions you noticed. Finally, spend 4 minutes reviewing. Write down 1 phrase you want to remember, 1 mistake you noticed, one idea you could not express easily. That is enough. 25 minutes. Real English contact, real retrieval, real production. Now compare that with another 25-minute routine. You open a vocabulary app, study 20 new words, read a grammar explanation, watch part of a lesson, then stop. Which routine is more likely to improve your ability to speak? The second routine may increase knowledge. The first routine forces knowledge into use. The best learning system contains both. But if your main problem is, I know English but I cannot speak naturally, then the first routine deserves more attention. Your window also needs one rule. Do not interrupt it every 2 minutes. Put your phone away unless you are using it for the English material. Close unnecessary tabs. Do not answer messages. Do not switch to your native language because one word is missing. If you do not know a word, explain around it. Suppose you want to say, I bought a screwdriver, but you forget screwdriver. You can say, I bought that small tool you use to turn screws. Keep moving. That is part of the routine. You are training flexibility, not perfection. Here is another important point. Your English window should not always feel comfortable. If every task is easy, you are not stretching your ability. But if everything is difficult, you will spend the whole session confused. A useful balance is this. Most of the material should feel understandable. Some parts should stretch you. Your speaking should feel possible, but not effortless. That slight difficulty is where growth happens. Now decide what your English window will look like. Say aloud, my English time will be. Finish the sentence with a real time. Then say, I will practice for. Choose a realistic number of minutes. Now complete. During that time, I will not. Maybe, I will not check messages. I will not translate every sentence. I will not stop because of mistakes. Good. The daily habit becomes powerful when it stops being random. It has a home in your day. Now we need to improve what happens inside that window. And the next step is something many learners skip completely. Chapter 3. Warm up your speaking before you study. Imagine trying to run at full speed immediately after sitting still for 8 hours. Your body would probably feel stiff. Language can feel similar. You may know English. But at the beginning of a speaking session, access can feel slow. Your brain has been working in another language all day. Your attention has been elsewhere. Then suddenly you demand, speak English fluently. You need a transition. That is why your daily routine should begin with a speaking warm-up. Not reading, not grammar, speaking. The warm-up tells your brain, we are using English now. Keep it simple. For the first 5 minutes, talk about what is already in your mind. Your day, your room, your plans, your mood, your work, your thoughts. These topics are easy because you do not need to invent complicated content. You already know the information. The challenge is only expressing it in English. Begin with physical reality. Look around and describe 3 things. I'm sitting at my desk. There is a glass of water next to my laptop. The window is open. Then move to recent time. This morning, I. Earlier today, I. Yesterday, I. Then move to plans. After this, I'm going to. Tomorrow, I need to. This week, I want to. This creates a natural movement through present, past, and future. No grammar exercise is needed. You are using grammar because you need it. That difference matters. Now add emotion. Today I feel. The thing that bothered me today was. One thing I'm happy about is. Feelings force you to move beyond facts. Then add explanation. The reason is. What happened was. The problem is. What I liked about it was. Now your brain is warming up not only vocabulary but connection. This kind of warm-up also reveals what is missing. Suppose you try to say, I had to delay a meeting, but delay does not come. You say, I had to move the meeting to a later time. Good. After the warm-up, you may look up delay. Now the word has context. You needed it. That makes it easier to remember. This is much more useful than randomly memorizing 10 unrelated words. Let us try a real warm-up now. Answer aloud. What have you done during the last 3 hours? Speak for 30 seconds. Do not stop because your answer feels boring. Your life is not supposed to entertain anyone during practice. You are training language. Now answer. What is one thing you need to finish today? Explain why. Now, what has been on your mind recently? Give a simple answer. Now, what is one thing you would like to change about tomorrow? Speak. Excellent. Notice that your English may already feel more active than it did 2 minutes ago. That is the purpose. The warm-up reduces the shock of speaking. There is another method you can use. Call it the 3-layer answer. Layer 1 is the basic answer. Layer 2 is a reason. Layer 3 is an example or detail. Question. How was your day? Layer 1. My day was quite busy. Layer 2. I had several things to finish. Layer 3. I spent most of the afternoon working on a project that was already late. 3 layers. Simple, natural, useful. Try another. Watch. Are you doing this weekend? Layer 1. I'm staying home this weekend. Layer 2. I need some time to rest. Layer 3. I've had a busy week, so I want to sleep more and catch up on a few things. This structure teaches continuation, and continuation is essential. Many learners do not freeze at the first sentence. They freeze after it. They know how to answer. They do not know how to continue. The 3-layer method fixes that. You can also use a timer. Set 2 minutes. Choose one topic. For 2 minutes, stay on that topic. Topic. Food I enjoy. Speak. If you run out of ideas, ask yourself, why, when, where, with whom, how often, what is different about it? Questions create new branches. This prevents your answer from collapsing. The warm-up should not become a test. Do not correct every sentence. Do not stop and search dictionaries. Your first task is to wake up your speaking system. You can analyze later. Think of this first stage as movement. Get English moving. That is all. After 5 minutes, your brain is more ready for input. And when you listen after speaking, something interesting happens. You notice language differently. Because you just struggled to express certain ideas, your attention becomes sharper. You hear a phrase and think, that is exactly what I needed. That is why speaking before listening can be powerful. It creates questions in your brain before the answers arrive. Now we move to the next stage. You are going to listen, but not in the usual passive way. Chapter 4. Listen for language you can steal. Many learners listen to English every day. Podcasts, movies, videos, interviews, songs, lessons, yet they still feel that speaking is difficult. Listening alone is not enough. The key is what you listen for. If you listen only for meaning, you may understand the message but miss the language patterns. Imagine someone says, I was going to call you, but it completely slipped my mind. You understand. They forgot. Then the sentence disappears. But it slipped my mind is useful language. You could use it tomorrow. Your daily routine should train you to notice expressions that can become yours. Do not collect everything. That becomes exhausting. Choose 2 or 3 useful pieces. That is enough. The best phrases are not rare advanced words. They are phrases you can imagine yourself using. For example, I'm not used to. I ended up. I haven't had a chance to. It took me a while to. I'm trying to figure out. I didn't expect. The thing is, that reminds me of. I'm not completely sure, but I've been meaning to. These phrases are powerful because they appear in many situations. Let us take one. I've been meaning to. Maybe you hear, I've been meaning to clean my room. Now make it personal. I've been meaning to call my friend. I've been meaning to start exercising again. I've been meaning to organize my files. You are not memorizing a sentence. You are learning a frame. That frame can produce many sentences. This is one reason fluent speakers sound fast. They are not creating every sentence from individual words. They rely heavily on familiar language chunks. You should build the same system. During your daily listening stage, choose something short. 5 to 10 minutes is enough. Listen once without stopping. Understand the message, then listen again. This time, pay attention to expressions. Pause when something sounds useful. Write it down. Not 10 phrases, 2 or 3. Now say them aloud. Then create your own versions. Suppose the phrase is, I wasn't expecting that. Your versions. I wasn't expecting the meeting to end early. I wasn't expecting the weather to change. I wasn't expecting the test to be so difficult. Now imagine a question. How was your weekend? You might naturally use, I wasn't expecting to go anywhere, but a friend called me on Saturday. Now the phrase is connected to communication. That matters. Another useful strategy is to listen for connectors. Many learners know vocabulary, but their speech sounds disconnected. They say, I went to work, I had a meeting, it was difficult, I came home, I was tired. Understandable. But natural speech often uses relationships. I went to work, and I had a difficult meeting in the afternoon, so by the time I got home, I was exhausted. The vocabulary is simple. The connections make it flow. Listen for words and phrases such as so, because, even though, but, at first, eventually. The reason is because of that, which means, in other words, at the same time. These are not glamorous vocabulary items, but they make speech possible. Listen for hesitation language too. Fluent speakers do not speak in perfect, uninterrupted sentences. They use phrases that give them thinking time. Well, let me think. I suppose, I'd say. It's hard to explain, but what I mean is, basically, actually. These expressions help you manage conversation. Use them carefully. Do not fill every sentence with them, but keep them available. Here is an exercise. Imagine someone asks, why are you learning English? Do not answer immediately. Begin with, I'd say the main reason is. Now continue. Good. Next. What did you think of the movie? Begin. Well, I wasn't expecting. Continue. Next. Why did you change your plan? Begin. The thing is. Continue. See what happened. A familiar phrase opened the door. Your brain did not have to start from nothing. This is what you should steal from listening. Not entire scripts. Not complicated quotes. Useful beginnings, useful transitions, useful endings. You can even keep a small language bank. Divide the page into categories, starting an opinion, adding a reason, giving an example, changing direction, buying time, disagreeing politely, talking about the past, talking about plans. Every time you hear a useful phrase, place it somewhere, then use those phrases during your speaking stage. That last part is essential. A language bank that you never use becomes another vocabulary list. The phrase must leave the page. It must enter your mouth. This is where the daily habit starts becoming a cycle. Speak, listen, notice, reuse, then speak again. Each part feeds the next. Now we need to focus on the most important part of the entire routine. Production, not repeating, not recognizing, producing. Chapter 5. Force yourself to retrieve, not repeat. Repetition is useful. If you hear, I'll get back to you tomorrow, and repeat, I'll get back to you tomorrow, you train pronunciation and rhythm. Good, but repetition gives you the answer. Retrieval makes your brain find the answer. That difference is huge. Suppose I ask, when will you reply? Now you need to create, I'll get back to you tomorrow. That is retrieval. Automatic speaking grows through retrieval. Your daily routine should include moments when no sentence is given to you. You have to produce it. One of the easiest ways is question practice. Ask yourself questions, not only easy questions. Use different categories: daily life, opinions, memories, plans, problems, choices, descriptions. For example, what was the most useful thing you did today? Speak. What would you change about your morning routine? Speak. What is one thing you disagree with people about? Speak. What is a place you would like to visit again? Speak. What would you do if you had an unexpected free day? Speak. Your brain is now retrieving vocabulary and grammar under pressure. That is good pressure. There is another exercise called delayed reconstruction. Listen to a short paragraph. Do not repeat it immediately. Wait 30 seconds. Then explain the same idea in your own words. This is excellent training. Why? Because you cannot depend on memory of the exact sentence. You have to rebuild meaning with your own English. Example. Imagine you hear, James started waking up earlier because he realized that he was wasting his mornings. At first it was difficult, but after 2 weeks he began to enjoy the quiet time before work. Wait, now explain. James changed his routine and started getting up earlier. He found it difficult in the beginning, but eventually he liked having quiet time before work. Different words, same meaning. That is powerful. You are learning flexibility. You can do the same with videos. Watch 1 minute, pause, explain what happened. Do not rewind immediately. Let your brain struggle. Struggle is not always a bad sign. Sometimes it means retrieval is happening. Another method is transformation. Take one sentence and change it. Original: I usually exercise in the morning. Change the time: I usually exercise after work. Change the frequency: I only exercise 3 times a week. Change the person: my brother usually exercises in the morning. Change the tense: I used to exercise in the morning. Change the reason: I exercise in the morning because I have more energy. One simple sentence becomes 6 forms. This helps grammar become active. Again, you are not studying the rule. You are manipulating meaning. That is closer to real speaking. Now let us do retrieval practice together. I will give you a situation. You need to respond. Situation 1. You are late for a meeting. What do you say? Speak. Maybe: I'm sorry I'm late. Traffic was worse than I expected. Situation 2. Someone asks you to explain something again. Respond: I'm not sure I explained that clearly. Let me try again. Situation 3. You cannot remember the exact word. Respond: I can't remember the word, but it's something you use for. Good. Situation 4. Someone invites you somewhere, but you are busy. Respond: Thanks for inviting me, but I already have plans that day. Situation 5. You disagree, but you want to stay polite. Respond: I see your point, but I look at it a little differently. These responses should become easier because you are retrieving them under a situation. This is how you prepare for real conversation. Not by memorizing hundreds of dialogues exactly, by practicing common communicative problems. The word automatic can be misleading. It does not mean you stop thinking. It means common language choices require less effort. When someone says, "Would you like some coffee?" you do not need to mentally calculate grammar. You say, "Yes, please," or "No, thanks." Simple. We want more complex situations to become easier in the same way. Someone asks, "What have you been working on?" You want familiar patterns available. I've been working on. I've spent most of this week. The main thing I'm focused on is. Then your attention can move to the content. This is why your routine should include retrieval every day, even 10 minutes. Without retrieval, you may become excellent at recognizing English while still feeling slow when speaking. Now we need to address one of the biggest reasons retrieval fails. You know the word, but it refuses to appear. Chapter 6. Train around missing words. You are speaking, everything is going well. Then one word disappears. You know that you know it. You have seen it before. You can almost feel it, but it does not come. Many learners panic here. They stop. They look away. They apologize. They switch languages. Or they say, "My English is bad." That moment is not only frustrating, it is also one of the best training opportunities available. Because real fluency includes handling missing words. You will never know every word. Even in your first language, you sometimes forget what something is called. The difference is that you usually do not stop communicating. You explain. You gesture. You compare. You give an example. You use another word. You keep going. You need that same habit in English. Your daily routine should deliberately train paraphrasing. Choose an object. Do not say its name. Describe it. For example, it's something you use in the kitchen. It has a sharp edge. You use it to cut food. Knife. Now another. It's a place where you can borrow books and study quietly. Library. Another. It's a machine that keeps food cold. Refrigerator. Simple, good. Now make it harder. Describe. Deadline. Maybe. It's the final time or date when you must finish something. Describe. Embarrassed. It's the feeling you have when something uncomfortable happens and you wish other people had not seen it. Describe. Appointment. It's a planned meeting with someone at a specific time, often a doctor or professional. This skill saves conversations. It also teaches you something important. Meaning can travel through different words. You are not trapped by one vocabulary item. Suppose you want to say, "The hotel was luxurious," but luxurious does not come. You can say, "The hotel was very expensive and comfortable, with beautiful rooms and excellent service." You communicated more than the missing word. That is fluency. Another useful skill is simplification. Learners often try to say ideas that are too complicated for their current speaking speed. They build long sentences in their native language and then struggle to translate them. Instead, break the idea. For example, you want to say, although I had originally intended to finish the project before the weekend, several unexpected problems caused me to delay it until Monday. Maybe that sentence feels difficult. Simplify. I wanted to finish the project before the weekend, but several problems came up, so I had to finish it on Monday. Same idea. Much easier to produce. Simple English is not weak English. Clear English is strong English. Your goal is communication. You can make your language more sophisticated later. First, learn to keep meaning moving. Another technique is replacement. When one word is missing, use a more general word. You forget exhausted, say very tired. You forget purchase, say buy. You forget approximately, say about. You forget residence, say home. You forget request, say ask for. The simple word keeps you alive. Advanced vocabulary is useful when it becomes available naturally. It should not become a gate that blocks the sentence. Try this exercise. I will give you a word. Explain it without using the word. Neighbor, speak. Someone who lives near you. Good. Refund. Money that a company gives back after you return something or cancel a service. Good. Traffic jam. A situation where many cars are stuck and moving very slowly. Good. Patient. Careful. I mean the adjective. Someone who can wait calmly without becoming angry. Good. Now think about your own English. Which words do you often forget? Do not simply memorize them. Practice explaining them. This creates backup routes. That is what a flexible speaker has. Not one route. Several. There is another advantage. Paraphrasing improves your vocabulary naturally. When you explain a word, you activate related words. If you describe umbrella, you may use rain, carry, open, cover, outside, stay dry. Now that concept has a network. Networks are easier to access than isolated words. This is why random vocabulary memorization often feels fragile. You know, umbrella =, translation, one connection. But when you use the word in different situations, you create many connections. I forgot my umbrella. I always carry an umbrella during the rainy season. This umbrella is broken. Can I borrow your umbrella? It looks like it might rain, so take an umbrella. Now the word belongs to your language system. Your daily routine should build networks like this, not thousands of isolated labels. Connected language and connection brings us to the next stage. You need to stop practicing single sentences as if conversation happens one sentence at a time. Chapter 7. Build chains, not sentences. One reason learners sound hesitant is not that they cannot create a sentence. It is that each sentence feels separate. They finish one, stop, build another, stop, build another. Conversation becomes heavy. Natural speaking is more connected. One idea leads to another. That is why your daily habit should include chain speaking. A chain is a sequence of connected thoughts. You begin with one sentence, then ask, what comes next? Suppose the topic is, my workday. Sentence 1. I usually start work at 9. What comes next? I check my messages first. What comes next? After that, I decide which tasks are most important. What comes next? I try to finish difficult work before lunch. What comes next? In the afternoon, I usually have more meetings. Now you have a chain. Notice that nothing is advanced. The power comes from connection. You can train chains with 5 linking moves. Move 1. Add a reason. I prefer working early because I can concentrate better. Move 2. Add an example. For example, yesterday I finished an important task before 10. Move 3. Add contrast. But I don't enjoy waking up early on weekends. Move 4. Add consequence. So I try to keep my mornings quiet. Move 5. Add reflection. I think this routine helps me feel less stressed. Those 5 moves can turn one answer into a real conversation. Let us practice. Question. Do you enjoy cooking? Basic answer. Yes, I do. Add a reason. I enjoy cooking because it helps me relax. Add an example. For example, I like making dinner when I have enough time. Add contrast. But I don't enjoy cooking when I'm tired. Add consequences. So on busy days, I usually make something simple. Add reflection. I think cooking is enjoyable when it doesn't feel rushed. That is a complete response. Another question. Do you like living in your city? Answer. I like living here. Reason. Most of my family is nearby. Example. I can usually visit them without planning far in advance. Contrast. However, the traffic can be difficult. Consequence. So I avoid traveling during busy hours. Reflection. Overall, the advantages are more important to me. This is what fluency often looks like. Not complicated vocabulary. Connected thinking. You can practice chains every day. Choose one question. Speak for 1 minute. Every time you feel finished, force one more connection. Ask, why? For example, but, so, what do I think about that? These 5 questions create movement. You can even write them on a small card. Why? Example, but, so, what do I think? Put the card near you during practice. If you get stuck, use one. Eventually you will not need the card. Your brain will learn to continue. Chain speaking also helps with storytelling. A story is another kind of chain. Situation, action, problem, reaction, result, reflection. Example, last month I missed a train. Situation, I was traveling to another city for a meeting. Action, I arrived at the station late because traffic was terrible. Problem, when I reached the platform, the train had already left. Reaction, at first I was frustrated, but I checked the next departure. Result, I caught another train an hour later and still arrived before the meeting started. Reflection, since then I always leave much earlier when I travel. That structure keeps the story organized. If you often lose your place while speaking, use structure. Structure reduces mental load. You do not need to invent the shape and the language at the same time. The shape is already available. There is another chain you should practice. Opinion, reason, example, on the other side. Conclusion, question, is working from home better than working in an office? Opinion, I think working from home can be better for some people. Reason, it saves commuting time and can make concentration easier. Example, for example, someone who lives far from the office might save 2 hours every day. Other side, however, working from home can feel isolating, and communication is sometimes harder. Conclusion, so I think the best choice depends on the type of work and the person. Simple structure, strong answer. This is how you train yourself to speak longer without repeating. You do not fill time, you develop the idea. That distinction matters. Long speaking is not saying the same thing 5 ways. It is moving through different parts of the idea. Reason, example, contrast, result, reflection. Your daily routine should teach that movement. Now we need to make one more change. So far you have been practicing inside controlled exercises. But the routine must also prepare you for unpredictability, because real conversation does not follow your lesson plan. Chapter 8. ADD1 Unpredictable Challenge Every Day. You can become very comfortable with familiar practice, same topics, same questions, same vocabulary, same routine. That comfort is useful, but too much comfort creates a hidden weakness. You become fluent only in situations you already expect. Then someone asks an unusual question. Your brain freezes again. The solution is not to make everything random. The solution is to add one unpredictable challenge to your daily routine. Just one. Maybe a random question, maybe a picture, maybe an object, maybe a short news headline, maybe a strange situation, maybe a comparison. Your job is to respond without preparation. For example, you have to live for 1 year without your phone or without your car. Which would you choose? Speak. Or, you discover that tomorrow is suddenly a holiday. How would you spend the day? Speak. Or, you have to explain the internet to someone from 200 years ago. Speak. These questions may feel playful, but they are useful. You cannot rely completely on memorized answers. Your brain must combine familiar English in new ways. That is flexibility. You can also use visual challenges. Look at a photo, describe it for 1 minute, then go beyond description. What might have happened before the photo? What could happen next? How do the people feel? Where might they be? What details support your guess? You are now training observation, inference, and language together. Another unpredictable challenge is the wrong plan. Imagine something goes wrong. Your flight is cancelled. Your internet stops working during a meeting. You lose your hotel reservation. Your friend arrives 1 hour late. You receive the wrong package. You forget an important document. Explain what you would do. This prepares you for practical speaking. You need English most when something does not go according to plan. Practice those situations before they happen. Another challenge is instant comparison. Choose two things: books or movies, city or countryside, morning work or evening work, online learning or classroom learning, saving money or spending on experiences. Choose quickly, then explain. The goal is not to discover your deepest opinion. The goal is to build an English response before your translator wakes up. You can also use 1-minute teacher. Choose any simple topic and teach it in English. How to make tea, how to create a password, how to prepare for a trip, how to organize a desk, how to use a map, how to make a sandwich. Teaching forces clear sequence language. First, next, then, after that. Make sure, be careful. Finally, you are learning practical connectors naturally. Another challenge: explain a simple object to a child. What is a bank? What is a library? What is an airport? What is a password? What is a calendar? When you simplify an idea, you train clarity. This is important. Fluency is not the ability to make everything complex. It is the ability to make meaning understandable. Your unpredictable challenge should last only 3 to 5 minutes. Do not turn it into a stressful exam. The value comes from surprise. You are teaching your brain, I can deal with a new topic in English. That belief grows through evidence. Each time you survive an unexpected question, your confidence becomes more realistic. Not, I hope I can speak, but I have handled unfamiliar questions before. That is a stronger kind of confidence. Let us try 3 quick ones now. Question 1. If every shop in your city closed for 1 week, what would become difficult first? Answer. Question 2. If you had to teach one skill to a group of 10-year-old children, what would you teach and why? Answer. Question 3. If you could change one thing about the way people communicate online, what would you change? Answer. Good. Maybe those questions were harder. That is the point. You are stretching. A strong routine includes both repetition and novelty. Repetition builds speed. Novelty builds flexibility. You need both. Now we reach a stage that many learners avoid because it can feel uncomfortable. You need to hear yourself. Chapter 9. Record, notices, correct, repeat. You may dislike hearing your own voice. Many people do. But recording yourself is one of the fastest ways to discover what actually happens when you speak. When you are speaking, your attention is busy. You are choosing words, building sentences, remembering ideas, thinking ahead. You cannot notice everything. A recording gives you a second chance. Now you can become a listener. This does not mean you should criticize every detail. That would destroy the exercise. Use recording strategically. Once or twice during your daily routine, record 1 minute. Choose a question. For example, what is one habit that improves your day? Speak for 1 minute. Do not stop the recording because of mistakes. Finish. Then listen once. Only once. During the first listening, do not focus on grammar. Listen for flow. Where did you pause? Where did you repeat yourself? Where did your sentence become unclear? Where did you stop completely? Now listen again if needed. This time, choose one improvement. 1, not 15. Maybe you repeatedly said, Your target could be to replace some of those pauses with silence. Maybe your answer had no structure. Your target could be to add because and for example. Maybe you used the same word 6 times. Your target could be to find one alternative. Maybe your pronunciation of one common word was unclear. Your target could be that word. Now answer the same question again. Record version 2. Do not try to memorize version 1. Just speak again with the improvement. This is where progress becomes visible. Version 2 often feels smoother, not perfect, better. That difference matters. You are creating a feedback loop. Speak, notice, adjust, speak again. Many learners only do the first step. They speak. then move on. Others only do the second. They analyze endlessly. You need the whole cycle. Recording also corrects false beliefs. Sometimes you think, I speak terribly. Then you listen and realize, my English is understandable. I just pause too much. That is a much clearer problem. Or maybe you think, my vocabulary is weak. Then you notice, you actually know enough words. The issue is that your sentences are too short. Again, clearer. Specific problems are easier to solve. Vague frustration is not. Another useful recording exercise is the weekly comparison. Once a week, answer the same question. For example, tell me about your typical week. Record 1 minute. Do this every Sunday for a month. Do not listen to all of them every day. At the end of the month, compare week 1 and week 4. You may notice changes that are difficult to feel day by day. Faster beginnings, longer sentences, more connectors, fewer long pauses, clearer pronunciation, better organization. That evidence can be motivating, but be careful. Do not turn recording into performance. Your daily practice is not a public speech. You are allowed to sound unfinished. You are allowed to hesitate. You are allowed to correct yourself. The purpose is not to prove that you are fluent. The purpose is to make your next attempt better. Here is a simple correction rule. Correct what blocks communication first. Then correct what appears repeatedly. Ignore tiny one-time mistakes during fluency practice. Suppose you say, yesterday I go to the store. You notice it. Past tense error. If you make this mistake repeatedly, it deserves practice. But if you accidentally say one wrong preposition in a 5-minute answer, do not spend 20 minutes attacking yourself. Prioritize. Communication. Repeated patterns. High-frequency mistakes. That is efficient learning. You can create a small correction page with 3 columns. What I said. Better version. My new example. For example, what I said. I agree. Better version. I agree. My new example. I agree with that idea. Another. What I said. I didn't go. Better version. I didn't go. My new example. I didn't go anywhere yesterday. Another. What I said. I am 25 years old. Better version. I am 25 years old. My new example. My sister is 28 years old. Personal examples help with correction sticks. But remember the order. Speak first, correct later. Do not put an English teacher inside your head while you are trying to have a conversation. If you analyze every sentence before saying it, natural speech becomes almost impossible. You need periods of free production, then periods of review. Separate them. Your daily routine should protect both. Now we have almost built the complete habit. There is one final piece: consistency. Not dramatic consistency, sustainable consistency. Because the best routine in the world is useless if you quit after 4 days. Chapter 10. Build a routine you can keep for months. Many English routines fail because they are designed for motivation, not real life. On Monday, you decide, I will study English for 2 hours every day. Tuesday goes well. Wednesday is difficult. Thursday you miss. Friday you feel guilty. By Sunday the routine is gone. The problem was not your intelligence. The routine was too heavy. A powerful habit needs a minimum version. Your full routine might be 30 minutes, but your minimum version might be 10. On a busy day, you still do 10. That keeps the chain alive. Here is an example. Full routine: 5 minutes speaking warm-up, 8 minutes of listening, 8 minutes retrieval, 5 minutes of unpredictable challenge, 4 minutes review, 30 minutes total. Minimum routine: 2 minutes warm-up, 3 minutes of listening, 3 minutes speaking, 2 minutes review, 10 minutes. Even 10 minutes can maintain contact. This matters because language likes frequency. If you disappear from English for 6 days, you spend part of the next session waking everything up again. Short, frequent practice can be more effective than rare marathon sessions. You also need variation. Doing exactly the same activity every day may become boring. Keep the structure stable, but change the content. Monday, daily life. Tuesday, work or study. Wednesday, opinions. Thursday, stories. Friday, future plans. Saturday, problem solving. Sunday, free speaking and review. Same routine. different mental territory. This expands your language. You can also rotate your listening, short interviews, explanations, stories, conversations, documentaries, English lessons. Choose material that contains useful everyday English. You do not need the hardest content. Difficulty is not the same as quality. If you understand only 20%, you may spend the entire session decoding. Choose something that gives you enough understanding to notice language and respond. Your routine should also contain one weekly review, not a test, a review. Ask yourself, which phrases did I use this week? Which topics felt easy? Where did I freeze? Which mistake kept returning? Which word did I keep searching for? Which speaking task felt more comfortable than last week? Then choose one target for the next week. For example, this week I will work on longer answers, or this week I will practice past stories, or this week I will focus on using connectors. One target, not 10. Focus produces clearer improvement. There is another important part of consistency. Do not measure progress only by how fluent you feel. Feelings are unreliable. Some days English feels easy, other days your brain feels slow. Sleep, stress, work, mood, energy, all of these affect speaking. Use better measurements. Can you begin faster? Can you speak longer? Can you recover from a missing word? Can you explain the same idea in different ways? Can you understand more without translating? Can you use phrases you noticed earlier? Can you speak about more topics? These are signs of progress. You may still feel nervous while improving. That is normal. Confidence often follows evidence. Every daily session gives your brain evidence. I can speak for 5 minutes. I can explain a story. I can handle a missing word. I can answer unexpected questions. I can express an opinion. I can correct myself. I can continue. Those experiences change how you approach conversation. You stop waiting to feel ready. You become someone who practices responding, and that is one of the biggest changes this habit can create. Let us put the complete routine together. Your English window begins. Step 1. Warm up for 5 minutes. Talk about your day, plans, feelings, or surroundings. Keep English moving. Step 2. Listen for 5 to 10 minutes. Choose understandable content. Notice 2 useful language patterns. Step 3. Retrieve. Answer questions, summarize, explain the content without looking. Use the new expressions. Step 4. Build chains. Do not stop after the first sentence. Add reason, example, contrast, result, or reflection. Step 5. Take one unpredictable challenge, a random question, a problem, a comparison, a picture, a short explanation. Step 6. Record 1 minute. Listen. Choose one improvement. Step 7. Review quickly. One phrase, one weakness, one thing you did better, then stop. Do not keep studying because you feel guilty. Finish while you still have energy. You want to return tomorrow. That is the complete habit, simple enough to repeat, strong enough to matter. Now imagine doing this for 30 days. Not perfectly. Maybe you missed 2 or 3 days. That is fine. But imagine 25 real speaking sessions, 25 warm-ups, 25 listening moments, hundreds of retrieved answers, dozens of useful expressions reused, 25 unpredictable challenges, several recordings, multiple corrections. That is a large amount of active English. Now imagine 3 months. That is where something deeper begins happening. Certain phrases no longer feel new. Common questions become easy. You stop translating routine thoughts. You can talk about your day without preparation. You recover faster when you forget words. Your brain learns that English is not an emergency. It is a normal activity. That feeling of normality is important. Natural English is not created by trying to sound impressive. It is created when the language becomes familiar enough that your attention can move away from the language itself. Think about driving. A beginner thinks about every movement, mirrors, pedals, hands, speed, direction. An experienced driver can think about where they are going. Language develops a similar shift. At first, you think, which tense, which word, is this correct? Should I use a or the? Later, much of that becomes easier. Your attention moves toward, what am I trying to say? That is the goal, not grammar disappearing. Grammar is becoming more available. not vocabulary disappearing. Vocabulary is becoming easier to access, not thinking about disappearing. Translation and construction taking less space. Your daily habit is the bridge between knowing English and living inside it comfortably. And the bridge is built one session at a time. You do not need another complicated English plan. You need a routine that makes you use the language before you have time to hide behind translation. Speak first, listen carefully, retrieve what you know, build longer thoughts. Work around missing words, record yourself, adjust one thing, then return tomorrow. That is how English begins to feel familiar instead of forced. Do not judge the habit after one day. Give it enough repetitions to change the way your brain reaches for English. The goal is not to study harder. The goal is to make English something your mind learns to use naturally every single day.